Hey friends, welcome back to Toilet Homestead. Lynzie and I are out here on the back porch tonight. We had plans on doing a live stream, and then when we got ready to do it, we realized that I don't have enough followers to do a live stream. So if you're not yet subscribed to this channel, please subscribe, tell your friends, pass it on, and let's let this channel grow. I have to get 1,000 subscribers in order to do a live stream, and we really want to do them. So please help us out. So we decided to make a video as if we were doing a live stream, so we're not going to edit this. We're just going to do the thing and then load the thing. So hope it's not irritating. So we have a couple of topics tonight. First of all is a topic that is known to both of us, and then secondly, we're each going to introduce a topic that the other one doesn't know about, except Lynzie does know about mine because I accidentally said it. But I don't know what hers is. And then we'll talk about that, okay? I don't want this to be one of those... well, I won't even say it. Anyway, I hope this is an interesting live stream.
It'll be fun.
Not so live stream. All right, so one of the things that I wanted to talk about tonight is we did a stay-at-home daughter video several months ago, and that really got a lot of response. I got emails about it, there's a lot of comments about it, whatever. And there were moms that were saying, I watched this with my daughter, this was really great, you know, whatever. And so it just kind of got me thinking about this idea of being a daughter who stays home to some degree for some length of time after graduation. When I was in high school, that was kind of the age when the government was giving out college grants and loans left and right all over the place, and anybody who wanted one could go. So anybody who wanted to go to college could go, and it was just a big deal. So when I was in high school, like, everybody went off to college, and a lot of times they were community colleges or just local universities, and we didn't even really know what we were doing or why we were there. That's just what we did after school. I didn't want to go to college personally. I wanted to stay home and, well, actually I wanted to get my own place and work for a year and kind of figure out what I want to do with my life, because I had a boyfriend who wanted to get married, and I kind of did too, but I wasn't sure, whatever. And so I really wanted to do that. But because I was 17, my dad said, you're going to college. And I had scholarships and whatever, and he didn't want me to waste my brain, apparently, on homemaking and mothering, because I was totally brainless jobs, apparently. And so I went to school long enough to turn 18, and then I quit, moved home, married your dad. And there I am, brainlessly homeschooling my children for the last 20-odd years. Anyway, no bitterness here. So that doesn't seem to be necessarily the case anymore. It seems like for your generation, you guys are kind of like, I'm not going to go to school unless I need to go to school, or whatever. It just kind of seems to be that. But I don't want to put words in your mouth. But I'm just curious, or maybe they are curious. What do you think? Why do you think girls your age are starting to want to stay home, or skip college and do something else, like in your own experience or what you have seen in girls that you know? What do you think the draw is for the idea of a stay-at-home daughter?
So the first thing that came to my mind, and it's really funny actually, is trends. Mine was more of a personal choice just because of how I was raised and how I watched my mom raise me and my younger siblings. I'm like, you know, I want to do that. But from what I've seen, and just generally before I mention girls that I know, it has to do with trends. And girls will start it off as like a trend, like, oh, hey, it's cute to stay home, it's cute to be a homemaker. You've probably heard of different, you know, terms that have to do with like fashions and stuff like that, and it's funny, but I've watched a couple of girls who now live that as their life. That's their lifestyle. It started off with, oh, this is cute. This is a cute little prairie dress. I'm going to wear this because it makes me look like a homemaker. I'm going to start a garden because it's cute and aesthetic. And now they're actually living that lifestyle, and they're seeing the beauty of it. So that's the first thing that came to my mind. But throughout my adult years, I've known a few girls, at least my age, that wanted to stay home or did stay home, because a lot of it has to do with, kind of like how they were raised. I've known one or two girls who were raised the same way that I am, and they want to live that lifestyle because they've seen, as I have, the beauty of the blessing that it gives to their mothers and it gives to their family, that they are protected, that they can, they're able to teach their children how they want to be, how to teach their kids and raise them in this same thinking. At the same time, you're also learning along with them. You're learning all sorts of fun things. You get to have that time with your family. You get to feel that enjoyment of blessing your family. And so us girls, meaning me and the girls that I knew, love that so much, and we want the same thing because we see that it's good and it's fulfilling and it's a blessing and it's beautiful and it's it's biblical too, so it's great. But
that's good. So what do you think, like, one of the big things I know with my dad, he was like, no, you need to go to school, you've earned these scholarships, this is what you're gonna do, you're not gonna waste your brain,
right?
And I feel like I haven't wasted my brain.
No.
I'm a self-taught learner of many things. I've got a huge library, and I'm always studying and researching different things. But I consider myself successful. I've raised, 9 good kids, and my marriage is solid, and, my ministry seems to be a blessing, and my relationship with the Father is growing. So I consider myself successful. What makes you feel at this point in your life that you are successful as a stay-at-home adult daughter?
I think the first thing is actually my relationship with the Father, because when I first graduated, I wasn't seeing it now. I wasn't as close to the Father, and so I kind of, even though I was doing all of the fun things that I did. I tried out college, I tried working, and I had fun with it. I didn't feel that successful feeling. And I think the first thing that gave me that foundation of feeling successful is my relationship with the Father. And it was not just, accepting Jesus into my heart. It was actually understanding Him. And that's when I came to Torah, following Torah, that's where my understanding came to. And it was because he took me on that rocky path. He took me on a path. It felt rocky to me. But he led me right to where I now have an understanding of him, and that's I feel is one of the first steps of feeling successful, is having a strong, firm foundation in your faith with the Father. The other thing, personally for me, that I feel successful is being able to bless my family. And right now that is, I still have some siblings who, still live at home. And I'm able to help with them when my mom needs to do something. Or I'm able to help with her, maybe helping school the kids, or keeping an eye on them while she's out, doing her grocery shopping, or I am also working alongside with her with the kids as well. And I'm also allowed to since I'm home, I'm able to learn how to make really fun meals, or just learn how to make meals in general, which blesses me because I love cooking, but also the biggest thing is blessing my family, is because I am, I am preparing this meal for them, and that's success to me. When I feel successful is when I make other people happy, when I'm able to help other people. That's how I feel successful. Personally, if there's a couple of things that I do, for myself, and I feel successful, that's great. But my biggest feeling of successfulness is blessing my family.
Yeah, and I think that is. I think there are some parents who are afraid of doing that, of allowing their daughters to be home of not sending them out to school or to the workforce or whatever, that they're not going to be successful, that they're not going to be able to, you know, get by in life. But here you are getting by.
Right, yeah.
You know, Lynzie is 23 and a half years old, and she has plans on staying home until
I'm married.
Any eligible bachelors out there? Call me. You have my emails in the description box below.
Yeah.
And I don't see that as any lesser than anything anybody else is doing. This is what you've chosen to do with your life, and you're doing it well, and you're growing, and you're learning, and you are a blessing to us. And so, I don't know. I don't, the mentality of everybody has to leave the house, go to work, go to school as soon as they graduate or shortly after in order to be successful. Well, I didn't.
No.
And I'm successful. You know, there's a
Yeah.
lot of moms out there who are. And I think sometimes parents can put their own regrets onto their kids.
That's the biggest,
Yeah.
that is the biggest thing
I think-
that I see a lot.
I think that was what happened in my case. So my father had like full scholarships to go be an English teacher, which is like totally weird to even
Wow.
imagine him being that, because
No.
he was a carpenter who like couldn't even bend his hands because he was just like had these calluses because he worked so hard with his hands. He was just an excellent carpenter, building contractor. But yeah, apparently he had these scholarships to go, and he wanted to be an English teacher.
Oh my goodness.
And then he ended up, his girlfriend got pregnant in high school, and so he got married, and then it didn't even work out, and it just was a mess. And so I think for him, he had a lot of regrets of things that he didn't do with his brain, and so he wanted, you know, me with the brain to go and do what he thought was success. But I have used my brain, and I am successful, and, you know, I wanted to be a writer, and I am a writer, right? And I wanted to be a teacher, and I'm a homeschool mom. I'm a teacher. And so, you know, anyway,
Yeah.
I just want to encourage moms out there because a lot of you guys found this channel through the hashtag that I put up about stay-at-home daughter. There was quite a few people who watched that video who I don't think watched anything else. I haven't heard from from them on anything else. So those of you who are coming here because you are looking for information on the idea of a stay-at-home daughter, I just want to encourage you. It's okay to do that. Your daughter will be successful. She will be fine. It is totally fine to have her stay home and, you know, learn from you, right? Lynzie wants to be a homemaker and a mother and a homeschool mom, and what better place to learn than from someone who is experienced in that. It's like an apprenticeship, right?
Exactly. It's exactly how I see it. It is
Right.
an apprenticeship, and I mean, that's something I always wanted to be when I was a kid, was an apprentice of something. Well, now here I am. So,
Yep. All right, good. Okay, before we go on to our other questions, our other topics, I wanted you to have a chance to talk about your candles.
yes. Oh, I'm so excited about these. Okay, so my mother is going to a retreat next week. I forgot the name of it.
It'll be Taurus Sisters Retreat in Michigan.
Yeah, so she'll be going in there, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you will be going and see her, so great. Say hi to her for me. But she's having a booth set up, and I am wanting to sell some hand-painted candles. So it's kind of an experiment that I'm trying out. If it works out, I'd love to have these on. I have an art account that I've been selling my digital artwork and stuff, and I wanted to kind of branch off. But so they're basically just store-bought Walmart candles for now. I don't know, it's kind of fuzzy. I don't know if you can see them very well because of the packaging.
I get the idea.
But yeah, so basically they're just painted with water-based acrylics, and then I just, you know, use pretty much everything of the paintbrush. I use the back, I use the front, just to create little designs. These are lavender on these candles. Yeah, I've got a few other designs. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, you said that you've shared the ones with the little blue flowers on them. So I made those. I made some strawberries. I'm just doing some different designs. So yeah, I'm really excited about them because I've seen painted candles everywhere lately, and so I was like, you know what, I want to try my hand at that. So
yeah. So there'll be Shabbat candles. That's what we're marketing them as.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's okay.
That.
You're right. So I'll have these at my table at Torah Sisters Retreat if whoever, if you want to come by my table. We'll have those, and then after the retreat we will have them somewhere online, which I will let you all know at a later date. They might be in my Etsy shop, they might be in your shop, I have no idea, but they'll be somewhere, and you guys can get these cool candles or steal the idea and make them for yourself.
Yes,
because
I recommend doing it.
They're easy and fun and pretty and something fun to add to your Shabbat table, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we each have a topic that we wanted to bring up, and we're just going to kind of talk about it. If it's weird, we'll just talk about it. If it's biblical, we'll midrash about it. And then, yeah, that's it.
I'm excited about this part.
And if it's too weird, we'll change the topic.
Yes. No, this one isn't too weird, I promise.
Okay, what's your topic?
So I wanted to talk about lost civilizations in terms of Atlantis or High Brazil, those type of things. Were they real? Were they not? I have some evidence for some of them that I truly think that they're real. There's some that doesn't make sense, so that's kind of where I wanted to go.
Okay, that's good. All right, so watch that little time up there. It says 20. When it gets to 29, we have to turn the camera off and turn it back on again because my thing only videos 30 minutes.
Kind of like a live stream. It's just edited every 30 minutes.
Totally fake.
It works.
One of these days.
It works. It's good to be raw sometimes. So this is a raw video.
Right. Okay, so do you want me to address it first, or do you want to give your evidences first? Do you want my opinion and then you can be like, or do you want to be like, and then I won't need to give an opinion because you've already said everything?
Well, no, I want to hear your opinion. I think it would be good to hear your opinion, so then I can give my evidence to it, and then maybe it might possibly change your opinion.
Okay, that's a good way to do it. Okay, so as far as lost civilizations, I think broadly, I think that's a no-brainer. I think there are definitely lost civilizations because, we read about them. The Bible is full of all kinds of tribes that we no longer really can sort of find, right? We have a general idea on a lot of them, but as far as big things like Atlantis, High Brazil, I know you're going to talk about the map thing, so I won't talk about it. But I do, the High Brazil, you'll need to explain that. I do think that that's a thing, for sure.
Yeah.
Atlantis, I don't know. So Plato, as far as I know, is the first one to talk about Atlantis. I could be wrong. You can let me know. And I always kind of got the impression he was just telling a story. And just, like a fairy tale. And so, I don't know. I would have to... I think of Atlantis kind of like I think of Camelot. There's this place, there's this story. It really could be attached to many different places. That's how when you go to England, you ask people, where's Camelot? There's 6 different ideas of where's Camelot. I personally think it's in Winchester. Other people think it's right. But that would have been a lost civilization, right?
Right.
But, so I'm not sure... details on Atlantis. But I did see a video that talked about, it showed, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. It's hard to make a video and not edit it. It was Chinese maybe? Underground, a whole underground city with all of these crazy looking buildings and architecture, and it was definitely under the water. I don't know if I said underground, but I meant underwater. Under the sea. Now. And it's not like it just kind of fell off. It was there and has been covered. And so, my impression of that was that is something that was there before the flood. And the flood covered it up. So, I think lost civilizations are a thing. but I think that it's going to be hard to prove them if we don't have some legit evidence like that underwater China.
Yeah, it's in China. Yeah.
Little world there. So tell us what you want to tell us.
Okay, so I'll go into Hy Brazil.
5 minutes before we go.
5 minutes? Okay, we'll talk about Hy Brazil first, and then we can stop and do Atlantis, because, that'll be probably a good segue. Okay. Anyways, so, and also just because I don't know if a lot of people know about Hy Brazil.
Yeah, maybe
so
not.
I just recently learned about it sometime last year. So Hy Brazil is a mysterious island off the coast of Ireland. Usually when you think of like mysterious islands, it's like somewhere in Asia, or it's somewhere in, South America, kind of like Aztec Mayan type thing. But this is in Ireland. And it has a little bit more of like a Celtic fairy tale feel to it. So like, they say that that's where they're all of the great warriors and the people that they worshipped and stuff like that lived there, so we don't need to worry about that. But this island has been on maps until I think it was the 1800s was the last time that this map was actually like drawn on a world map. Is Hy Brazil. It's a little teeny tiny island, and this island supposedly disappears it appears very, very rarely. It's like very rare to see it, and there's only been a couple accounts. Some actually real famous people. I cannot remember the names off the top of my head, but there is one that I recognized, and he wrote about it. He saw it, but it only appears to those who it wants it to see. Is basically how it says. But, like, I mean, if it's been on maps since, when the world map was first, I don't know the word, put together, I guess you could say, by a cartographer, it's been there, and it had the locations and everything, and then just randomly it's not on the map anymore. Yeah. So I'm, like, just confused. Yeah. Like, why would they put it on there and then now it's gone? And these are people that don't live in Ireland that put it on there. Like, there's a few Italians people that put it on there, or like Chinese maps that have them on there, and now it's gone.
The thing that convinced me about that was I watched this video where the guy was showing Google Earth images. So he was showing the shape of this island, Hy Brazil, on the old maps, and how there was a certain like formation in the middle of it or something. I can't remember. It looks I can't remember. Anyway, there's some kind of formation. Like, it was, you got the obvious shape, you got the obvious formation. Well, then he showed Google Earth and then like zoomed in on that place. And you could still see that formation.
Oh, that's cool.
Because of the way that because it was very shallow in that spot, and underwater, you could see on Google Earth that formation in that shape with the landform, the little wonky whatever in the middle of it, the little land formation thingy. So unless he just totally, but I mean, he went Google Maps, you see the whole watermark for Google Maps. Yeah. Like, that'd be really hard to recreate, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, YouTube would take it down if there was a watermark on the picture, and he says it was Google.
I don't know about that, but what I'm saying is that I don't think he faked it, right? I don't think he made up the pictures, what I'm trying to say, because he went to the site, the Google Maps watermark is over it. That's hard to fake that.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm just saying, like, it was, I feel like it was a legitimate search and a legitimate map, so that was cool.
Gosh. So, I need to watch that, because I haven't seen that.
That was cool. Okay, so we did Hy Brazil, we both kind of agree on that.
Yes.
Convince me about Atlantis.
Okay, so, I did my own live stream about 2 or 3 years ago on Facebook. This is before I knew I could do it on Instagram. And I did a study about Atlantis and where it could be located. And I'm truly convinced that this is where it once existed. It's not there anymore, obviously. And I just recently found out that there is another person that made a YouTube video about this, and it's the exact same information that I put together in the exact same place, and he's convinced about it too. Cool. So, there is this place in Africa area. It's called the Eye of the Sahara. It sounds like it's in Asia, but I believe actually it's technically in Africa. And it's just this big circular rocky formation. You can look it up on Google and it'll show you really cool images. It's huge. It's massive. And in Plato's description of Atlantis, I don't think he was the first one. I think, if I remember correctly, there's more than one documentation or whatever about Atlantis. Plato is just the most popular one because he described it really well. And he talks about different elements about Atlantis. It was known as a kind of like a center point for different countries to come together to trade. It's like a trading post. It is not just one big city. It has little cities on the outside. It was known to have elephants. It was known to have these waterways that came down from the mountains into the valleys of Atlantis. It had these very specific kinds of rocks. And throughout history, all over the world, people have tried to prove these different places to be Atlantis. The one that I can think of on the top of my head is Malta, which my sister loves Malta. And we even talked about that a couple of months ago. And so these people are like, okay, well, we need to look for 3 elements. We need to look for the waterways, we need to look for the rocks, and we need to look for the elephants. They had the waterways, and it had the rocks. It didn't have the elephants. So then they tried another place. It had the elephants, it had the waterways, it didn't have the rocks. And Atlantis was known for these 3 main things, because those were 3 big things that had to do with its trading. The Eye of the Sahara, I found out, has all 3. It has the waterways, which you can see on the images that come down from the mountains into the valley. You have the rocks that are all over the Sahara. I mean, they're even layered, which is really cool. And there have been found fossiled elephant bones there.
Great.
That is from there. And the way how the Sahara is kind of constructed is, it looks like there was a big center city, and then it had all these little areas that could be outer cities. But the biggest thing that convinced me when I watched the video was it is qualified as a center point for tradings from different countries, because all continents can reach it easily by water and by land.
Wow.
Yeah. And the other thing I was just thinking is, when you mentioned earlier about ancient civilizations obviously, existing, including before the flood, I mean, it would make sense. The biggest thing Atlantis is known for is it went underwater. Mm-hmm. What if it was the flood? If there was a city there and it was completely wiped out, completely, like it doesn't even exist anymore. There's no rubble, there's no artifacts of the actual city. But what the evidence that we have is the landmarks and where it's positioned.
Well, what if it's all under the sand?
It could.
I mean, maybe there's this major, they talk about the mud floods and all that. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was a major cover up. It could, the sand that all came in with the flood.
I mean, yeah, it could. There have been other ancient civilizations all over the world that have been buried underneath for hundreds of years, and nobody knew about it. Yeah. And then they dug them up. There's one I can think of right now. I can't remember the name of it. But they are still uncovering layers of this city. The city was known for, they would build their little city, and then when they were done with it, they would bury it. And then they would build another city on top of it. And they were like, well, we're sick of this, or we want to grow. So they would bury it and build more. So they're uncovering layers and layers of this city, but by different groups of people throughout this tribal ancestry.
Wow.
So, I mean, it could be possible.
Maybe. All right, you can tell us what you guys think in the comments about lost civilizations. Give us some more things to research.
Yes.
And study.
Yes, we love our theories.
Right, we do love our theories.
All right.
Okay, so mine is, the case that I want to make is that I believe that the governments of the world, especially the U.S. government, is setting up the people to believe in a coming alien invasion in order to mask the coming of Yeshua.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about that?
Okay. Okay. So it makes sense, honestly. It really does. Because since, I mean, at least for me, since COVID, alien invasions have just, the idea of an alien invasion have just exploded. Like, it's not just US, it's all over the world. And I mean, throughout history, even in ancient times, there have been evidences of people being abducted by aliens and all of this stuff. But it's just only been in the past few years that it's just been, like, everywhere. It's in your face now.
Well, yes. So I can see how I'll just say they, by they I mean the governments, the people, whoever is behind the scenes. This is all the stuff I wanted to talk about in the videos that I make regularly, but I want you guys to stick around, so I'm just gonna hide them in the back porch chats. Okay, anyway. I lost my train of thought. Okay. I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Okay. All right. So, the they, okay, I really can see how they are making it just a common thing. Like, it's just no big deal, right? In these last few years, they're releasing the tapes. They're releasing all of these, declassified videos, documents, interviews, witness testimonies, whatever, of different aircraft that they've seen out there that's unidentified. We've got, the weather balloons flying over, but they won't tell us what they are. They've shot down mysterious things, but they won't tell us what they are. And there's some kind of mysterious thing floating out there in space coming this way, but they won't tell us what it is. It's like making you aware of things, but not giving you all the information. Like, they're setting up a mystery, right? So that's one part of it. To get you conditioned, well, yeah, there's stuff out there, duh. I mean, I bet if you took a poll, the majority of Americans at least would say, yes, there's a such thing as UFOs or aliens or whatever, because we have been being conditioned. And if you read about the New Jerusalem coming, the New Jerusalem that is coming, it talks of the measurements, and there's all kinds of different theories out there about what shape it is, right? But some people say, well, it could be a square, a cube, but then that means it also could be a pyramid. And if you watch, there are so many, alien movies. Stargate SG-1 is a perfect example of the pyramid. Like, in that show, in that storyline, pyramids were landing pads for aliens. And when the aliens are coming, the bad guys, the gods, but they're just aliens, they come in pyramid-shaped ships. And, we see that theme kind of all over the place. These pyramids coming out of the sky, they're the bad guys. We've got to fight them. And then my friend, Nathan, hi Nathan, by the way, he watches our channel, he posted a video the other day.
I saw that.
Yeah, and from what I understand, I could be getting this wrong, but I think that humans put together some images and then told AI to make a movie out of it.
Yeah.
And so AI made the script for it, and a lot of it was invading. They were pyramid-shaped ships invading the Earth, invading America. They had, Biden on there giving his speech and talking about how he met with foreign leaders to, fix this crisis and what we're going to do and how we're going to deal with the aliens and all these things. But the whole thing was pyramid-shaped ships. And, why? Why, out of all the topics, that? They're setting up a narrative. And whether or not there are actually legitimate aliens out there, the real concern for me is that people, when Yeshua does come, and when his people do go to meet him in the clouds, what does that look like to people who believe in aliens and spaceships and abductions? It looks like bad guys coming and abducting the aliens. It's a perfect cover story for Yeshua coming back.
And it's a perfect introduction to the anti-Messiah as well, because if the anti-Messiah is supposed to be here to save the world, they're going to be like, oh, he's not the alien.
Yeah.
He's not the aliens. Yeshua would be the aliens because he abducted everybody. So then the anti-Messiah is like, oh, hey, I'm here to save the world.
Yeah.
I'm here to save everybody from the aliens. I'm here to save everybody from the anti-Messiah. It's like it's a whole mess.
Yeah, it's a complete backwards of what's really going on. And so there's a lot of conditioning going on of trying to get us to believe certain narratives, to get our thinking going in certain directions. I don't know how many of these people involved in it even realize that they're involved, like what they're involved in, right? But I do believe that the enemy is at work here, putting these ideas into people's heads, people who have been, given themselves over to him, whatever, and just sort of letting these weird things regarding aliens and life in other places sort of permeate and become the norm for us, believing these things and just making it like no big deal. Because honestly, for me, like, it's no big deal. Like, if I went out tonight and I saw something in the sky, it would have to come down pretty close before I would even be concerned. Like, if I went outside right now and, at dark, stood in my driveway and saw something large, glowing, moving fast, obviously not like anything we've seen before, I would just be like, all right, it's aliens. You know what I mean? I'd be like, hey, there's a spaceship up there. Or, it's demons or whatever, like, because that's what I truly believe that the aliens are. But
yeah, I do too.
That's what I would say. I would just be like, that's so crazy. Wow, too bad I didn't bring my phone. Like, I wouldn't freak out. I wouldn't be shocked. Like, if they were coming down, then I might get a little nervous. But it's so not a big deal because it's so everywhere. And like I said, they've released all these tapes and all these, tapes. Sorry, I'm a 90s kid. They've released all this video of, supposed and probably real stuff that it has sort of desensitized us. Yeah. And I say this on my channel all the time, the biggest thing we really need to look out for is deception. And Yeshua warned us about deception in the last days. And this is a big factor. This is part of that deception. Yeah. We just need to be so careful that we know him and his word so that we know the timeline. We know what is going to happen when he comes. And we are not confused.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree. You mind if I ask you a question, just because I'm generally curious?
Yes.
Okay, so it has to do with the idea of the shape, whatever, of the New Jerusalem, because me and you both know a couple other people who believe that it is, and from what it sounds like you believe this as well, that the New Jerusalem will be pyramid-shaped, or of some degree. I'm just curious, how will that be? How have you guys come to that conclusion of it being pyramid shaped?
So for me, the biggest reason why I believe it's pyramid shaped is because of all the pyramids in the media. Is because it is such a strong theme in media that is talking about alien invasions that I believe it is a counterfeit on purpose, right? The enemy very likely knows what the New Jerusalem is going to look like. We know that before he fell, he was, tight with Yahweh. He very likely learned a lot of things about Yahweh's plan. I mean, we don't know if the New Jerusalem was already somewhere created, in the realm they were in. I mean, we have no idea. But he knows Yahweh probably better than we do in a lot of cases. And I think that he knows what it's going to look like, and he has made a counterfeit. So my biggest, there are dimensions given in the Bible to explain what size it is, but it doesn't really describe the shape. So the footprint of it, from what I understand, could be a cube, but it could also be a pyramid. But there are other people that think it's a different shape, whatever. But based on the measurements, to my understanding, the footprint of it is a square.
Well, right, because it has 4 walls.
Right. So if it could be a square, but we only know the footprint of it, it could also be a pyramid.
Right.
Right? But my biggest reason is because of what I see being thrown in our face all the time. Whenever you see alien invasion movies, many times it is a pyramid.
Right. So then here's my question. I don't want this to go too far, but is it okay if I ask these questions? Just because I'm generally... Okay. I just wasn't sure if you had some other topic.
No, this is it.
Okay, cool.
We're doing this. Right. We're saying goodbye. I'm eating my matzah before sundown. Unleavened bread's over.
All right. Okay. So I guess because personally, I don't see how it can be pyramid shaped, which it's fine. Everybody thinks of it different shaped. I guess just because I love studying ancient cultures. I love studying the different buildings, different just what you would usually study about ancient cultures. And to me, whenever I see pyramids, the only place that I have never seen a pyramid would be Israel.
You need to watch the documentary. I'll put it in the description box.
There's a pyramid in Israel?
So there is a documentary that this dude made. It's about 20 minutes, and it shows Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, so in the area. And it is this guy basically making the case that Sodom and Gomorrah is there. It's just...
Well, yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
You've seen that, right? And it had all those ziggurats and all that all over the place.
I still haven't watched it yet, but you told me about it.
So you need to watch that.
Okay.
So there is evidence of that in the region.
Right, yeah, and that makes sense, because, ziggurat, one of the first places you see a ziggurat is in Babylon, and a lot of people, including myself, believe that the Tower of Babel was ziggurat-shaped, because you can get pretty big and go, smaller and smaller, and just that shape is very sturdy. But I guess how I am just wondering or confused is, when I think of a pyramid-shaped building, I think of non-biblical religions. We've got Egypt. Egypt is the most famous place known for pyramids. I personally believe that the pyramids were built when the Israelites were in Israel. Or not in Israel, in Egypt. 400 years. That gives enough time to build those 3 pyramids. You see ziggurat shapes in South America. You see them in the Mayan, the Aztec cultures, and those were their temples. You see them in Babylon, where those were their temples. And so I guess I'm confused of why would the place that we are living with the Father for eternity be shaped like all of these pagan temples when his own temple or his own place wasn't shaped like that.
But the pyramids don't all those other buildings and all those other cultures don't necessarily have to have been dedicated to pagan religions. They could have just been buildings, right? Like my house, my neighbor's house, he might be a pagan, crazy witch doctor Satanist. I have no idea. But my house is shaped like his house because this is how we build our buildings right now in 2023 or 95 or whenever mine was built. So just because pagan people inhabited these buildings doesn't mean they were always built for pagan purposes. Like, I don't think that really matters. I don't think the building is a pagan building.
No.
So I don't see there's any reason why the father couldn't, make it pyramid shape if he wanted to. I mean, the pyramid was his before it was anybody else's. So it's a shape that he created, so why couldn't it be? There's no reason that it couldn't be. And if there are so many of that shape of a building throughout history and ancient history, to me that gives more evidence that maybe it is a building of his design, because back in ancient history there was a lot more, that all started in one place of people who were hearing from the Father on how to do life, right? So to me that's even more evidence that it could be, because
yeah, I can see that.
It's an ancient way and he is an ancient creator.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, I can see it if we want to go back to talking about the Tower of Babylon being pyramid shaped, ziggurat, whatever. That's when all the cultures split, so that's where they got that shape.
Maybe.
Was, from that,
Yeah,
if that's generally kind of where most civilizations all kind of were living before they became civilizations, and then split off. If that was just the general area where everybody lived, you know.
I don't think there's anything that would keep it from being that. It's just, I mean, who knows if it is? Like I said, my biggest piece of evidence is my assumption that is why it is featured in so much media. Okay. So it totally could not be.
Okay. I was just wondering. I was just, I haven't really studied much into the New Jerusalem and that kind of thing, so I don't really know too much about it.
And I haven't either, to a very large extent either, but, I mean, there's not a lot. We don't actually have a lot of information on it anyway. So it's all
I was meaning more kind of, or like more kind of like the theories and the ideas and stuff. I just haven't really read or paid attention much to that just because,
Most of it's just conjecture because as far as we know, it's in Revelation. Right. And there's just a few verses really that tell us what that's going to be like. So, But speaking of pyramids, I got to see the pyramid in Memphis, Tennessee last Sunday, Shabbat, Saturday and Sunday, because we had to drive out to Nashville to get my son and it was a whole thing. But I got to see the Memphis pyramid.
Oh, how was that?
It was cool. I said, hello, alien overlords. And your dad was like, ah. Anyway. All right, so this was fun. I hope it was fun for you, if you're still sticking around. We are planning on doing these every now and then. I guess I will just label them Back Porch Chats until we get our live stream up. So, like I said, share with your friends and subscribe if you haven't yet, please. Let's let the channel grow enough so we can do these live. That will be super fun. And otherwise, I hope everybody has a beautiful weekend. And I'll see you all soon. All right. Bye. See you later.